Hello pilots of the internet. In this video I'm teaching you how to fold 3 different paper airplanes of varying difficulties. On the left we have our easiest plane. This is the 1-minute paper airplane, which is one of the most popular planes on my channel. It's so easy to fold that you can fold it in 1 minute and it performs exceptionally well. So whether you're a new folder looking for a plane that's easy to fold or an experienced folder looking for something that flies incredibly well, this is a great plane to start with. In the middle, with a step up in difficulty, we have Quickdraw, which you can see adds that really cool wing angle change and even has this locking mechanism that holds it together in that 3-dimensional shape. Now this plane looks awesome, of course, but it flies over 100 feet as well, so this is also a great plane to fold. And then finally, with another step up in difficulty, we have Firebrand, which is one of my favorite paper airplanes I have ever designed. And you can see it has this awesome wing angle change that's shared with Quickdraw here, but adds yet another feature in those really cool fins at the back of the plane. This one too locks together in a 3-dimensional shape and flies over 100 feet. Now, if you support me on patreon.com/foldableflight, you can download and print off this template to fold a version of Firebrand that looks like this. I have to tell you, this is one of my top 5 favorite planes of all time. I'm absolutely in love with the way this turned out. Now, you're probably already familiar with my book, which teaches you how to make 15 of my coolest paper airplanes and even gives you illustrated folding paper so you can make planes that look like this. But did you know that I'm also the author of the Power Up Paper Airplane book? This book teaches you how to make 10 different paper airplanes, all specifically designed to work with the power-up motors, which take your regular paper airplanes and turn them into motorized flying machines. Now, the 4.0 even lets you pilot the plane from your phone. So head over to foldableflight.com/shop and take your paper airplanes to the next level. 3, 2, 1, go! All you'll need in order to fold this paper airplane is a sheet of US letter paper that's 8.5 by 11 inches or A4 paper, and you might also want a ruler, but that's not totally necessary. And we're going to begin by folding this edge here to this edge. Now go ahead and open your paper up. And you're going to fold your top edge down, but before you place your crease, just listen to what I have to say here. So, if you're using US letter paper, you want the distance between this edge and your bottom edge to be 1 1/4 inch, or if you're estimating, leave a little extra space for your room for error. If you are using A4 paper, then you want this measurement between this edge and this edge to be 5 centimeters, or if you're estimating, again, leave a little extra space there as you're estimating. Now, with that said, I'm going to estimate. This is US letter paper that I'm using, so I'm looking at about 1 1/4 inch, but I'm going a little more than that just to make sure that I don't make that measurement too small. And we're creasing across like this. Then I'll open it up, and I'm going to fold that top edge to this line here. Just like that. And then I can fold down on that existing crease. And now I just fold triangles in like this. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Then I can open both of those sides up, and I want to fold this outer edge to that crease I have there. And I'll do the same thing here. And now I have these flaps that I can actually tuck behind this pocket. As I close that up, I just wrap that around and do that on both sides. And now I will fold that in half. And then I'm going to fold the wings, taking this edge here to that bottom edge. And once I do one side, I just flip it over and fold the other side to match. And there you go. Just open that up. You can smooth your wings out if you need to. And I would encourage you, set your wings angled up like this. That's called giving it dihedral angle. That's going to help it to fly really nice and straight for you. And even when I let go of the plane, you can see my wings angle up just slightly. That's really where you want it. And with that, good luck flying your plane. All you will need in order to fold this paper airplane is a sheet of 8.5 by 11 inch or A4 paper, and we're going to begin by folding this edge here to this edge over here. Now once you do that, go ahead and fold your top edge to your folded edge, and that will make just a little triangle like this. And you can flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. And now we'll go ahead and open that up and unfold all the way back to this position here. And now you just want to take your top edge and fold it so it lands right at these points where those diagonal creases intersect the edge of the paper. Just like that. And then we can open the paper up again and fold down to that crease we just made. So now we should just have a really nice thin strip right at the top of the paper, just like this. And we're going to fold triangles into the center. So your paper should look like this. Now we'll go ahead and fold this bottom edge up to these edges right here, just like that. And we'll unfold that. Flip your paper over. And you're going to kind of gather this crease here between your thumb and forefinger, just like this. And then pull that crease and land it so it's at this point here and this point over here. And then you're going to kind of crease the layer that's actually behind this one. Just like that. You can do that gently and then flip it over and give that a nice sharp crease now. Then we'll just open this up back into this position. And now we're going to fold this edge here to the center, but we're not going to crease all the way down the paper. So watch what I do. As I kind of fold this in, I'm actually only going to crease from that top point right here until I get to this first diagonal crease there. So I'm just creasing that section of the paper, and then I'll unfold, and I'm going to do the same thing here on this side. Creasing just right to that point there. And now we can unfold. And I'm going to fold down along this bottom line, back up on that line, and we're ready to do a really cool collapse here. So I'm going to use this existing crease we have and fold this edge into the center again. And as I do that, you can see this whole side kind of opens up and it doesn't want to lie flat. So I need to fan this open. I'm going to reach in with my finger here into this pocket and kind of pull on it a little bit and fan it open. And basically I want it to catch right at that point there. And then I'm going to make a crease that goes from that point down to this corner down here. So I just kind of pull that layer open until it's tight between those 2 points, and then place a crease right between them, just like this. And once I have that crease, I just push all that remaining slack out in that direction, just like that, and lie that flat. So now we need to do that whole sequence again on the other side. So we're just folding in on the crease we already have, opening this up, kind of pulling on it like that until it catches right there. And now we're making a crease go down to that point, just like that. And now we push all the remaining slack out in that direction. And that creates the angle change in our wings. So now I want to draw your attention to the layer that's right here behind these top layers. And we're going to make a crease that runs right from this point here, where this layer intersects with that layer. So you can see how I'm using that as a reference. So I'm going to fold from that point there to this corner over here. Just like that. And once I do one side, I'll just fold the other side to match. Just like this. And now I'll rotate it into this position, and I actually just want to reverse those creases we just made. So I'm not making any new crease here. I'm just kind of taking this whole flap and bending it in the opposite direction along the crease I already have, and I'm tucking that behind all the other layers as I do that. Do the same thing on this side here, just bending that in the opposite direction behind all the other layers and locking everything together, just like this. Now I'm going to mark a really interesting point here, or an important point. You can see where this layer intersects that back point there, right there. That's going to be a reference for us now. We're going to fold in half. And when we fold our wings, we're folding from the nose through that point. So I'm just kind of pulling this down. I'm not pulling this edge all the way to the bottom. Again, I'm just making a crease that goes from here through that point. Just like that. And once I do one side, I'll flip it over, fold the other side to match. And your plane should now look like this from this side. And if we flip it over, you can see it looks like this. Now this could be a finished paper airplane for you. You don't have to do anything else. You can go fly this one and have fun. You might decide you need to fold little winglets like this to help it fly straighter, but give it a test. But we can also lock this into a three-dimensional shape. You see if I pull this, it flaps open. I'm gonna show you how to lock that into a three-dimensional shape in a really cool way here. So we're going to make a crease that goes right from this point to the back of this pocket. So you can see into that pocket. If I fold all the way right to the back of the pocket where that's on the center line, by just kind of pulling this layer open like this, then once I make one crease, I can make the same crease on the other side. And now watch. You can see I've got those two converging creases that meet right at the center point. As I fold my plane in half, that elbow kind of moves back in the plane. And I can fold it in half just like that. And then I can fold right along my existing wing crease. And that goes right through that kind of elbow we've made. And that locks the plane together. And now this thing is absolutely locked in that three-dimensional shape. So really, really cool origami there. And now we're just ready to fold those little winglets I was talking about. So set your paper like this, and you're going to fold a little winglet like this one, just parallel, so the crease you're making is parallel to that center crease. So it's just an estimation here. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but do your best to make this crease in line with that crease there. And once you do one, you just fold it like that, book match it, and fold the other one to match. Okay, so now you're going to set your wings nice and flat maybe with a slight angle upwards like this, and then point your fins straight to the ground. And with that, good luck flying your plane. All you will need in order to fold this paper airplane is a sheet of A4 paper or 8.5 by 11 inch paper. I recommend something thin. Your paper can be as thick as 24 pound or 90 GSM, but thinner paper will make this easier to fold. You might also want a bone folder, and if you plan on folding the locking mechanism at the end, which you don't have to, you're also probably going to want some tweezers like this, but again, the plane flies well without the locking mechanism. And with that, let's get folding. So we will start by folding this edge here to this edge. Then we can open that up. Fold your top edge to the bottom, but just make a pinch crease here. Fold your top edge to your pinch crease, and again, you're just making a pinch crease. And now if you're using 8.5 by 11 inch paper, you're going to fold your top edge to this pinch crease and make one more pinch crease. If you're using A4 or the template, this pinch crease here will be your reference, as we now rotate it into this position and fold your top edge to your reference. So A4 is this point here, 8.5 by 11 is that point down there. Okay, now I'm going to fold this edge here to the center crease, and again, I'm just making a pinch crease right here on what is going to be my back edge. And now I'll gather my center crease between my thumb and forefinger and pull it to that reference point, and I want the crease I make here to be perpendicular to my back edge. I'm just kind of creasing the layers behind. I can flip that over, really give those a nice firm crease on this side. And then I'll flip it back over and now fold this edge here to line up with my bottom edge to make the two sides match. Okay, so it should look like this, and we can open it up into this position where these are mountain folds, and then gather those and pull it to the center, but you're going to want to leave a couple millimeters between this edge and the center crease. So here, I'll go ahead and do this, and then I'll highlight my center crease so you can see how much of a gap I've left here. My center crease is right here. So you can see there's a bit of a gap between this edge and my center crease. I'll do the same thing on this side. Try to make your gaps the same size on both sides. So something like that. We can flip it over, really sharpen up those creases. And now I'm going to move this right flap out of the way, and I'm going to fold this top edge basically to land on this crease here. But watch, I'm going to do this in kind of a special way. So I'm going to start my crease right where this crease here intersects the top edge. So I can just kind of tack that and make sure it's starting in the right point. And then I'm going to actually close this layer up and swing this in as far as it can go. And I found this is the best way to make this fold without ending up with any bubbling. So once it's kind of hitting that inner edge, you sweep all the extra slack out that way and make your crease. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Make sure my crease is starting right at that point up there. Close that up and then swing this in as far as it'll go, and then sweep all my slack out. Okay, I'll flip the paper over. And now look for your reference point that you've already made, this little pinch crease you have on the back edge. And we're going to fold this other side to that reference crease, just like this. And again, you want your crease that you're making to be perpendicular to your back edge, which means you need to land this edge here along the edge behind it. And once you do one side, you can fold your plane in half and then just fold your other side to match. And now I'll open it back up and actually just leave this left side open for now. And I'm going to fold this back in the other direction. Let me make the fold and then I'll explain exactly how I did it. Okay, so you can see I've just folded this in the other direction. My crease is perpendicular to the back edge again. And the way I determine where to place that crease is I'm looking actually at the layers on the opposite side here. And right where that edge lands is also where I want this edge to land. So you can see those kind of line up and meet at the same point. And once you do one side, you can fold it in half. Just fold that back up. And you can see we can just fold this down to match the other side. Okay, so we'll open it up. Your plane should look like this. And now we have an interesting and kind of difficult sequence of steps. So we're going to start by folding this little short edge here to this edge. Really try to control your layers as you do this. Just like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, so on the right side now I'm going to kind of pull this layer out, and you can see we've already got a crease here, and this won't want to lie flat. If I hold this front section flat, the rest of it bubbles, and that's fine. We're going to kind of encourage that to curl right at that point there, and then push this flat on that crease, and we want this section to be flat, this crease to be flat, and we're just taking all the slack and kind of pushing it forward and flattening it just like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So open that up, hold that flat, press that crease down so it stays in the same position, and just encourage that to kind of push forward. And when you flatten this, you really want the edge behind this little short edge to line up with this edge. Just like that. Okay. And now we're going to grab this and fold down just like that. Try to be as accurate as you can. Keep your layers tight together as you do this. And now we're going to open it up once again. We just pull on that. We've got that crease that is a valley crease there. It bubbles like this, and we're doing the same exact thing. We're pushing this forward, and this time, let me highlight the crease. The new edge you're about to make should land right along this crease you have here. Okay, it'll look like that. We'll do the same thing on this side. Just open it up, hold that flat, push your slack out, just like that. And now we're going to grab those layers, hold them tight, and pull this down. Just like that. Do the same thing on this side. And we are finally done with that sequence. I know that was a little difficult, definitely laborious, but great job. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over. I'll open this up, and I'm going to fold this edge here to land along that edge there. And the layers here are thick, but the crease should go pretty much all the way to where the wing angle changes back there. This is where, if you have a bone folder, you might be inclined to use it. Just like that, really flattening that out. And while I'm looking at this side, I'll also fold this edge here forward. And basically I want it to stay within the profile of the plane. So I'm folding it as far that way as it goes, where it catches at that point, and then landing this point right here on the edge of the wing. And I'll reverse that so it goes behind the other layers. Okay, and I can close this side up now and work on the other side. So I'm folding this to land on that other edge we have. Get my bone folder out, really make that crease nice and tight. And then I'm folding this again, starting at that point and landing the corner on that edge. And I'll flip this behind, just like that. And now we can close it all back up into this position here. Okay, so now I'm going to make a crease that goes basically from where the point of our nose is back to this point right here. So my crease will be basically, hopefully, a straight line like this to the back. Catching right at that point at the front. Try very hard to make this a straight crease, as straight as you can. Straight back to that point there. This is basically defining where our wing crease will go later. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. We can open it up and now flip the plane over. Well, actually, while we have it in this position, let's go ahead and do the back of the wings. We're going to fold right from where this edge here intersects the back edge to this point here. And then tuck that behind this other layer, just like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. There we go. And now we can kind of collapse it all and flip it over. Okay, so now we're going to fold our fins. And one reference here is where this little edge intersects this edge of the plane. And the other reference is where that wing angle changes on the back. So I'm folding right from that point to this point here. And I really want to hold my layers tightly, control them as I do this. Fold it just like that, and then I can do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and now we're ready to wrap these little layers here around the edge of the wing. So I'm just pulling that tightly to the edge there, and then wrapping the rest in behind, again as tightly as I can. And just closing that up. Do the same thing on this side, fold that behind, and wrap that around very tightly. And if you need, you can really push that in, make sure that creases right there as you close it all up. And we're ready to fold it in half and fold our wings. So we're just folding it like that. And then right along this crease we've already made, we're folding these, making that same crease on other layers, folding these wings down. They're going right to this point, the back point of that layer. Okay, do the same thing on this side. All right, and you can see you have what could be a finished paper airplane. If you want to throw it as it is, it'll fly just fine, but it's not locked together. You can see it flops open. You can either tape it or just accept the fact that it's a normal paper airplane without a lock. But there's also a way to lock this together, and I'll warn you, this is actually the hardest part of the paper airplane. So if you've had any trouble up to this point, I'd encourage you to just throw it as it is. But if you want to fold the lock, we can now fold this little short edge right to our wing crease, just like that, and we'll do that on both sides. On the right side, I'll fold this little short edge back to that edge there. And on this side, I'll open it up before folding that short edge to the crease we have there. And now, this is where you're really going to appreciate it if you have tweezers, because basically we want to hook this around this side here. Well, actually, sorry, first we're going to reverse this 45 or basically 45 degree angle that we have here. Reverse that crease just to get it tuned, because that's the way it's going to be bending here in a second. And then fold that short one behind, but leave this second crease here that we just highlighted unfolded. So now we're going to hook this behind this edge here as we close this up. So that part's not too hard, but you can see my fingers have a real hard time reaching in there, which is why I want some tweezers, because now I need to grab both of those layers together and I need to twist them and roll them a second time into this side. It's going to tuck behind these pockets on this side here. So the first one's easy. You're just kind of hooking that little short one around the other, but then you have to grab them together. Let's grab it like this and roll it again. And I like to use my thumb on this side to keep the pocket from deforming too much. You're rolling those layers again in on themselves to lock it all together. And that was probably really hard to see on camera, but I don't know if there's a better way to teach it. I don't know how to show that on camera. But here, I'll go ahead and even just cut this open for you so you can see in its finished state what it looks like. So you can see those two creases we're tucking it one time and then rolling the whole thing a second time inside the plane, and that's what locks it all together. So you can see from the top here, that's locked in its three-dimensional shape. And with that, you are now totally finished with this paper airplane. You might actually find that if you want to throw this really hard in order to keep it from stalling, you might need to bend the back edges of the wings down just a little bit and give it down elevator rather than up elevator on this plane, which is pretty unusual, but it'll fly really, really well if you do that. And with that, good luck flying your plane. Thank you so much to all of my patrons who are supporting this channel and making these videos possible. I'm now releasing a new tier where you can become the pilot of your favorite foldable flight paper airplane, and your name will appear next to the paper airplane you choose in each of my YouTube videos. So head over to patreon.com/foldableflight and join the Foldable Fleet today.